Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Happy to have you all here. We got a really great episode for you tonight. We're going to be talking about intent in the fight, presenting intent, presenting a threat. This is a subject that, for me, kind of came up with some conversations with one of my squires, where she was talking about how to find that. So for all the shiv out there. Listen to those questions from your squires, because it could very well make a Coach's Corner episode, and you can send those into us, and we're happy to talk about all kinds of things. And you just never know where that conversation is going to come from, and where that question and that episode is going to come from. So feel free to send those into us. We've got His Grace Alan on joining us tonight, one of our regular coaches. We got Sir Sivrid, who usually does production, but he's going to hang out with us for the episode. And we have a very special guest, my good friend, Duchess Honora from the West Kingdom. She is Duchess, Viscountess, Knight, Laurel, Pelican, Mod.
Oh, I'm not a Laurel yet.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
I'm not there yet.
Get working on it, all right? You got to collect the whole
I'm
set.
working on it.
And all the things. And
exactly.
when I was thinking about this episode, she was the one person that I really wanted to have on, because I had experienced this with her a few years ago, where she finally got that intent, and it was very striking. And it's a great example of what it can look like. And I wanted to get her take on what that progression was, how she found it, and all that. So this is somewhat related to an episode we did recently on building confidence. There's a point where you have all the tools, but it's being able to put them in place and having the confidence to step in and create that intent. A lot of us at the top end, we will put out, we work very much on conservation of energy. I know Al-Anon does, Bronos does, very much on conservation of energy. I'm going to put out just as much effort as I need to get a certain result. If you're not going to peg that threat meter for me, then it really makes my job a lot easier. I don't have to be as concerned. But when you step up in the list field, and you get that posture that just presents intent and presents threat, that's going to trigger a response for sure. And in Honora's case, the first time she did that, did not go particularly well for her. So we'll get into that in a minute. Alan, you got any initial thoughts on what we're talking about here tonight?
I do, and I'm really glad to be able to join tonight's stream, because when I saw the topic, I was as much interested in learning what intent means to the panel and to others, because I have an idea of what it means, and I know I sort of have, areas around it that I teach, but I haven't necessarily codified it as said, this is what we mean by intent, and this is how I'm going to teach people to do it and everything. But I've certainly thought about it a lot. So I kind of wanted to be the panelist that would also ask questions to try to better understand exactly what we mean. But I also felt like there was a decent chance that I would be able to provide some input as well as just questions. So, but it's great to be back on Coach's Corner, and really looking forward to, the ideas that we generate this evening.
Right on. And we've got Sir Sivrid, who is he's doing production for us, but we've asked him to join us in this as well. Sivrid, do a little introduction and some of your thoughts on this. I know Bronos was just saying that he's always hounding you about trying to find that intent. So how have you seen it from your perspective?
All right, so I'm Siegfried. I'm a knight in the Middle Kingdom. Guess for about 3 years. I've been fighting for about 30. So one of those things with intent that I see is that I want to be able to come out in the field and pose a threat to somebody, or pose a threat pretty much to anybody I face. Not necessarily beat them, but pose a threat. And so some of that comes out with intent, and how I go about, just not just I'm not just coming out here to swing. I'm not just coming out here to throw a lot of blows. I'm coming out here to intend to actually put a threat. And so whether that's with footwork, whether that's with probing shots, whether that's with something else, but it's that energy and focus that you have to bring as part of your fight. That's what I see as part as some of the key pieces that we need to work at or need to look at for intent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And lastly, Your Grace, my friend, Anora, would how about a little introduction of where you're at, where you're from, how long you've been at this, and like give folks an idea who you are.
My name is Anora. I'm from the West Kingdom, right smack in the middle of California. I've been rapier fighting since 2005. I was modded 2 years ago, and I've been heavy fighting since 2015, and I was knighted a year ago. It's been the most amazing journey, and it's actually really helped with a lot of confidence issues, a lot of bravery, and a lot of just getting over issues that are outside of my control. You can't control a fight if the person that is smarter than you. So it's one of those where you got to think on your feet.
All right. And like I said, the reason I wanted to have Anora on is because I experienced this, 3 years ago now. And I've been fighting her for a long time. Been working with Anora for a long time. And I was at a West Crown and went out to fight her because I always do. And there was something about that. There was something that changed, and it was, and this is the thing about that intent. It has nothing to do, as Silver was saying, it has nothing to do with what shots you were throwing. There was something that changed in her where when she lined up on me from the get-go, I knew that we were doing business. There was a presence there that had been missing before. And yeah, there was legitimate threat right there. And it was, like I said, it wasn't this false braggadocio, like this false confidence thing. It wasn't this, yeah, I'm going to come after you sort of thing. It was just very clear, confident, just her posture and her presence and the way that she lined up on the fight was like, it was all there. We weren't even anywhere close enough for her to throw a shot, but man, there was something about it that just lined up and it was there. And, and then we fought. And Nora, do you remember what I said after we got done fighting?
I have a terrible memory. I think I get hit in the head a lot, but it was something along the lines of you saw an entirely different person.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think you honestly even said to me, you're almost there. You were so close to there. And it was the biggest eye opener of I could actually do this. It was something along that line. It was just something that just made me realize I've actually improved. And it wasn't you blowing air at my skirt. It was that I've actually grown up.
Yeah. Well, I'm never going to bullshit you. And you know that.
Yeah.
Because, when I tell you you're doing well, you need to know that you're doing well. But I remember probably a little more clearly. What I said when we got done was, you got hit a lot more today because you made me.
Yes.
And it was.
Is that a compliment?
It absolutely is a compliment. Yeah, you got hit a lot more today because you made me. And so at the time, what it was, and this I'm just going to cover briefly the progression as I saw it over the last couple of years. Right. And again, this all happened right before you got knighted. Right. So at that first time when that happened, you triggered a response and I responded in kind. Like, oh, okay, we're doing this and we're going to do this. And you get a totally different skill set when you do that. And at the time, you brought that threat and you brought that intent, but you didn't quite have the tools to back that up. And so, yeah, you ended up getting hit a lot more. We fought a year after that. And at that point, it was a little less intent, but a little more tools. And when I mentioned that to you, he was like, oh, you mean I'm backsliding? I'm like, no, you're not backsliding. You're finding the balance of the two. And that was the thing that we were talking about in the pre-show. Having that intent. If you have too much intent, and maintaining that intent, it can be exhausting. But
Yeah.
you found that balance between, you got more tools to deal with this, but I still have the intent and I still have that threat. And so from your perspective, my big question is, what happened? Where did you find that? And how did it feel? How did it manifest? Did it come from something, or did you just one day just decide, let's be a problem?
Unfortunately, a lot of my heavy fighting has been straight on it started from pure depression, severe depression. And literally one day I just went, I'm going to start heavy fighting. Got all the gear within about a month, started heavy fighting, got beat to hell about it. And instead of going, oh God, I suck at this, it was well, screw you. I'm not going to stop. And it's actually become my motto. It's on all of my banners, all of my shields. It literally says, I am capable of all things through spite, which strengthens me. And so it's been a big factor in my life of, I'm going to do it. If I'm scared, I'm going to do it scared. And approaching a better fighter has always been very terrifying for me, because I know I'm going to get hit. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to get hit in a place that is armored and not unarmored. So it was a lot of working on getting through that fear and fighting you. I know you're not going to hurt me, but you're also not going to be nice. You're going to discipline me when I did something wrong. And I think honestly that day, because it was, if I remember correctly, it was the June crown of Hansa's memorial. It was his crown. And it was literally just I am tired of being sad. I was exhausted, because we're at sea level here and where we live, and we were up in the mountains, so we were at elevation. I was absolutely dying. I had no breath whatsoever, and it was literally if I die, I'm going to die and take you with me. And so it kind of became I'm going to use that spite against even myself, where it's like, you're exhausted, suck it up, Buttercup, we're going to go do this. And it became you're going to be my focus of, I'm going to take that anger out on you. And I know you should never fight angry, but it was I'm going to prove to myself that I can go and do this. And it's become this almost like a stalking kind of behavior. It's not play on and march up and I'm going to attack you, or even bull right into you like a Spanish bull. It is, I'm coming forward and how are you setting up? How am I setting up? Can I get you to throw something? Are you going to throw first and I'm going to snap off of that? There's not a lot of thought process, and there is a thought process where it is a reactionary basis, but also not, I'm going to throw a flat snap and an off body, and I'm going to hope I can throw this into a wrap, because you're going to change it on me. And it was such a feeling to suddenly go, that wasn't as scary as I thought. Well, who else is out there that I can go fight? So it was a big eye opener.
Yeah, it was. It's that right there where you're talking about. It's like you're going after the fight. It's what I usually refer to as judicious pursuit.
Yes.
You have to pursue your opponent, like you said. You're stalking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny you should mention that, because Hansa was known as the apex peacock predator.
Yes.
And it is a predatory mindset. It is a stalking mindset. It's, I'm coming after you, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to be a problem, and you have to deal with me. And that, sure, that doesn't mean I'm going to win, but yeah, I'm going to be a problem, and you have to deal with me.
You're going to be exhausted by the end of this fight. You might take me out, but you're going to really remember how tired you are afterwards.
Yeah. Elena, does this sound familiar?
I think so. So can I say some things and then get your guys' feedback on whether or not I'm tracking it the right way? But what it sounds to me like, it's the progression that a fighter might have, where they begin to become competent. But it's not just competency, because then it's the confidence to be able to allow that competency to come through how you approach the fight and how you actually engage with the fight. I see competency all the time, but I'm not, I'm not easily impressed by competency. I'm more impressed by consistency of your competency, where I can see where you're not having the mental lapses, to where suddenly you're confident and you're in the fight, and then suddenly you're out of the fight because something either your opponent did or something you tried didn't work, and suddenly you've lost a little bit of confidence. And when I become impressed with a fighter, and what I would think of as impressed with their intent, is when they are with confidence, allowing their competency to just flow consistently through the whole fight. And that's when I become, not only am I impressed, it engages my own, both self-preservation and also, all right, I'm in a fight, let us actually do this dance correctly. It basically turns me on. I go from cruising to, all right, this is the game, and thank goodness I was hoping to be able to experience the game today, because you go and you do your stuff, you don't always find the thing that motivates you. It doesn't always feel like magic, but when you come across someone who is very consistently pushing and pressuring you, and you can just tell as soon as you do a couple of as soon as you've actually engaged that they are in this fight, it's like, great, it pushes all my buttons, now I get to be on too. Is that a little bit of what's going on here with
it sounds like you almost, it's a mental challenge while also being a physical challenge.
Yes, you've got the tools. It's one of the things we do. We work on our tool set, but having the confidence to now be able to say, I can apply my tools as I need them, is different than having all the tools.
Yes.
It's knowing when to use the tools, and then when you know when to use the tools, then you get the confidence to be able to actually have a different edge to how you play.
Yeah, and I think that's why practices, I enjoy them a lot more than tournaments. Tournaments, you're one and out. Practices, though, it's like, okay, I'm going to reset the chess game and I'm going to come back, I'm going to play this again. What happens if I play the first two of that one again? Oh, it brings out this fight. It brings out this shot on you. Ooh, I wonder if I can finagle that next time. And that's a big part of the confidence as well, where it's like, oh, I'm starting to draw out shots from you. It's kind of fun. It makes it more engaging, like you said, where it's a mental chess game while at the same time we're boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alan just hit on something really important too. It's that when we get to find somebody that trips that trigger, as it was, that's exciting for us. I mean, being able to execute our full skill set that we've trained for 40 years to do this at the very top of our sport, and being able to unleash that is exciting. I mean, it's kind of the whole point. But as you get better in your fighting skill, it becomes harder and harder to find people that are going to pressure you and that are going to push you. And from a training perspective, to honestly, just give me a good old fashioned ass whooping and send me home and give me a reason to go home and work on stuff again to be better, right? But being able to just execute the full skill set. There's fewer and fewer people as you get towards the top that are going to trigger that response. So when it happens and you get to go, oh yeah, we get to do this for real. And honestly, it is beautiful to watch when you get two of those fighters. And I mean, again, speaking of Hans, one of my favorite videos out there is, I'm sure Branos will not be too happy to bring this up again. It was the Pennsic Heroic Champions when Hansa was King of the West, and it was Hansa and Branos fighting in Heroic Champions. And, Hansa ended up winning, but that's entirely not the point. The fight that those two guys put on was just spectacular. spectacular. I mean, it's out there on the YouTubes. You can find it. That is the absolute pinnacle of what our sport should be. And like Eleanor was saying, like being able to fully execute that skill set. Because like I said, if you don't hit that threat meter on us, if you don't present threat to us, I'm going to put out just as much effort as I have to.
So an expression that they use in basketball a lot is in their bag. So the bag is your bag of tools. It's your tricks. It's the tricks of the trade. It's all the things that you do. And you see this a lot in situations. Even though it's a team sport, there's numerous times during the game that an individual will have basically a one-on-one situation, and depending upon the competency of their defender, they may not go very deep in their bag, or they may be forced to have to go all the way in. And what I mean by that is if they get someone, that they know they're going to torch, so their confidence level is sky high. And I mean, it's almost silly to watch it, because it's sort of like, they'll call for a pick and then get like, a great one-on-one player may get a center on them, and they're just like, yes, because now I don't actually have to work nearly as hard, and I'm super confident that I'm going to get this shot and I'm going to get these points. And it's great because these other guys are wearing me out. So you can almost see it. So they have to go, they go very shallowly in their bag. They pull out the first thing they really need to, that they know that's going to be a winner. Whereas if they're stuck with a person who has really been pushing them and really playing them defensively very hard, they have to go very deep in their bag. And the deeper you reach inside your bag, the less confident you are that it's, because you're having to, you're not using your best trick shots. You're using, you may have to be making stuff up as you go if you're really being pushed hard. So the confidence is different. So, in these situations, intent is kind of like, I'm comfortable, I'm reaching in my bag and I'm pulling something out that I'm extremely comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It's not a perfect metaphor, but I think about it a lot, especially as I watch a lot of postseason basketball. It's just amazing to me. And I draw comparisons all the time with watching great fighters, because, they are in and out of their bag. It's easy shot. This is my go-to. This is my offside head that I almost always get, and I don't have to go very deep in my bag at all. And crap, I might have to throw my bag away because nothing I know how to do is going to work here against this person. So I don't know. Yeah. It's fun. And I think that this conversation wrapped around intent or, confidence or competency is a neat way to look at it.
The biggest compliment is when you're fighting a higher up fighter, higher than yourself, and they tell you, I had to pull out tricks that I haven't used in a long time, or I don't normally use. That's when you know, oh, I'm doing something correct. I'm making them think, I'm making them work for it, I guess. That kind of sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah, I definitely have like 2 or 3 shots that are very high up in my bag, and I use them almost every fight, and if I can't use those, then I got to start reaching pretty, a lot deeper in that bag and hope I'll pull something out that will work. But, you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and Nora, that's what happened when you did that to me the first time. When you presented that threat, you triggered that threat meter, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And, and then I kind of unloaded on you. And yeah, you weren't like I said, at that time, didn't quite have the tools to back up the threat that you were presenting, but you triggered a response. And, like I said, it's exhilarating when we get to do that. We get to unload and even prior to that, you had been a fighter where I know that I can do more, right? I can exercise more of my fight, and you can take it, right? But there's a lot of folks out there that if you're not presenting that intent and that threat, I don't have to. Like Elena was saying, it's like I'm just going to go with the easy stuff, right?
Well, you
So-
mentioned that there's a difference between aggression and intent. That
Yeah.
there's aggression, and Duke Brownhouse actually mentioned it in the chat where predators are patient and dangerous at the same time, creating a time that is safe to attack. I think of it as there are some fighters out there, their aggression makes them look like a rabid raccoon that has been cannonballed at them, and they are now having to constantly block and block and block and block all of these crazy shots because they're hoping something's going to land, versus a predator that is trying to sneak around behind the back of its prey and hope the prey doesn't see it coming. And I think that is the best thing to see on higher fighters, watching them. They're not jumping in there and throwing shot after shot. It's Minecraft and Sherlock Holmes in the movie, where it's, I'm going to step to this position, you are going to react to this position. And that's why Hanzo is always fun to watch, because he is calculating that. He is seeing what's the next space. And you can tell when the other fighter's going, I don't like that look in your eyes. And I think that's a big part of it too, is the way that you present yourself on that field. Sometimes you can only see this much of your opponent, like this. And all you need is that sometimes. And it can be very scary when that person's looking at you like, I'm going to eat you through my helm.
Okay.
Versus there's nothing behind their face except a pinwheel of swords and shields.
Yeah, and it's that posture. There's the posture, and there's a presence that you're putting out there, that is the intent. It's not, it's not how it's not what their armor looks like. It's just posture and its presence, and it's and I think this is also a good point to bring up something that we were talking about. The difference between intent and intensity, and some folks might think this is splitting hairs, but it's really not. Intent is that pursuit and that going after and presenting that threat. Intensity, to me, kind of conjures up an image of again, aggression. And the word aggression has, like, I guess it's a trigger response for me. But every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, like, this person needs to be more aggressive," that always just makes me cringe. To me, aggression is just a matter of throwing out more shit and hoping that something is going to stick. You just,
Yep.
I'm just jump in. I'm going to throw a bunch of shots, and something is bound to land in here. It's not at all calculated. It's not thought out at all. And it's, it's fruitless and it's exhausting. And so, yeah, every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, you need to be more aggressive," it just always makes me want to cringe. And when you talk about intensity, that kind of conjures up the images of aggression for me. Elena, we talked about this a little bit before the show. You got some more thoughts on that, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, there's times that it's okay. You got a student and you're wanting them to, you want them to perhaps be more aggressive, just so that they can see, a different feel of the fight, or you need to kind of shock them into being more in the fight. And sometimes you just say, "Okay, I need you to go out there. I need you to throw some shots. I need you to get more aggressive." So that's just something you're doing, though, from a training perspective. It's not an overall general, you need to be more aggressive just technically as a fighter. I mean, almost no one needs to be, full on aggressive all the time. I know some people who utilize aggression as a means of minimizing risk. They feel like if they're throwing a crap ton of shots, then my opponent doesn't have a lot of opportunities to strike back at me. So, So not only does it look like I'm really thoroughly in this fight, and it's a lot of fun to throw shots, so bang, 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 bang. And if I do it right, then perhaps I can also, with my aggression, I can keep my opponent off balance, yada, yada, yada. And all that is fine up to a point. And that's the point is, as you go up the food chain, you're going to have success with that, but you're going to hit a line, a level of fighter who's like, seen that. What else have you got? And if you haven't trained anything else, you're going to be in trouble, which is why I don't mind people occasionally working on their, a little bit of aggression in what they're doing with their fighting, but just as a mindset, being aggressive. Like if that's your number one defining trait, you're going to, maybe you and the person you start with, you'll kind of rise up faster than they do. But if you don't work on other things, you're going to hit a wall, and that wall is more competent fighters who've been around. It's like, whatever, seen a bunch of aggression before. What are you going to do when I make you miss and hit you? It's like, and it's, so it's funny. I hear you need to be more aggressive a lot. And I've heard it in melees. It drives me crazy in melee too. Like, you spears just need to be way more aggressive. You need to just be throwing shots. It's like, well, if they don't know what they're doing, that might be okay. But if they're a good spear fighter, they're going to be just as aggressive as they need to be. Because you got to stay alive too.
It's exhausting having to constantly defend and attack and defend and attack.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going to drop one thing in.
Of course, no, go for it.
Yeah. So one of the things, so I think there's kind of three words, one of which is intent, one of which is intensity, and one of which is aggression. And I think one of the things oftentimes we think about when we think about being actively involved in a fight is sometimes it's being an intense fight. An intense fight burns energy. Intent doesn't have to burn energy. Aggression burns energy. Intent, I can be doing things that are intentional. Let's say I'm going to maneuver you to win this fight. Elena, you were talking about earlier about, okay, I'm going to maneuver this person so I have space to breathe. I'm going to maneuver this person so that I have, and so to me that's intent, but that's not necessarily intensity. Intensity may be used as part of my intent, or it may not be, depending on what I'm trying to achieve with my intent to win. If my intent to win or my intent, I'm actually to me, it comes back to some of the other things, which is control of the fight. And intent to me is fundamental. If I don't know what I intend to do, how am I supposed to control a fight if I don't know what I'm trying to control? And so intent there really plays a big role of I need to know what I'm gonna do. And I think coming back to Elenon with your bag of tricks as well is I think the thing is for a more experienced fighter, they have more time frequently to analyze and say, okay, I have this trick in my bag that will work. And so that's part of that intent of I need to maneuver this person into position so this will work. Or potentially I need to do whatever it is, or I need to respond with this trick. I think for a less experienced fighter, sometimes the shift goes from I don't know what to do, so I'm going to become more intense or I'm going to become more aggressive, rather than saying I'm going to look further in my bag of tricks and say, well, this matches this puzzle piece.
So just question throw out there and then a quick, comment on top of it. Everyone here probably has worked with a student or they've been working with someone, and for whatever reason, that they're not really in the fight for whatever reason, and oftentimes the reason is, well, you're just better than them and they're kind of getting stuck and lost in their own head. And you're like, hold, what are you doing? What's your plan? What's going on here? And, for the sake of the heading of our stream tonight, what's your intent? And, we've all had students that are basically with eyes glazed go, I don't know. And it's like,
what did you do in that fight? Landed a shot.
That's 100% kind of what we're talking about here. It's, win, lose, or draw, I have a plan and I'm willing to change my plan as I go. And I've always got, even if you just I get jacked in that fight, it wasn't because I didn't have a plan. I wasn't trying to make the fight go the way I wanted it to go. You know, that just happens with fighting. You know, occasionally you're going to lose, but if you're out there and you don't know what you want to do and you don't know what you want to make your opponent do, and you just don't know, well, then that's where you're going to be in a situation where you don't have intent. And oftentimes that is because you've run across someone who is intimidating you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that, you know, from a training perspective, we've got to train our students to, you know, you can respect and you should respect a fighter that you think is better than you, that you don't want to be intimidated to the point that you're not involved in the fight, that you're not an active thinking participant in this actual engagement.
Well, Sean, I think that's what you might be asking about this whole difference between intent and aggression is how to help. And I think that's what this whole, what Coach's Corner is about, is how we know that higher up fighters have it, but how do you help a new fighter? How do you help them step over that boundary? And I think a lot of it is, you see it a lot with the new fighters, especially those who are still in the middle of it, of not sure if they actually enjoy the sport or not. It's being comfortable hitting their friend, being comfortable hitting a complete stranger, and how to help them over that cusp. And I think that's a big part of it. That'll take it from being concerned and afraid to aggressive, which then can morph into intent. Mm-hmm. I think that is what we're always telling them, is to be more aggressive, is to push them over that boundary of being very shy, throwing very light shots, you know, just kind of tinking at their friends, versus, okay, I'm going to throw a shot and I'm going to counter it. I'm going to react upon what you're throwing. Now I'm going to throw my own thing. I'm going to react again, throw my own thing. That's the progression. Nervousness, aggressive, intentional, and then now it's calculating. I think that might be what we're trying to figure out too, is that's really hard. There are some people out there, they've been fighting 10, 15 years, and they still seem to hesitate before they want to take that shot, before they want to react. And they have to be drawn out by the higher fighters. And you have to build up their confidence in that case. And I think a big part of that, I know, especially as a female, it was really scary to get hit, to know that I'm going to throw a shot, but I have 5 times more often going to get hit and it's going to hurt. There's 2 levels there that we have to get over, in throwing the shot and getting hit at the same time. And after a while, you just have to break that mentality of, this is going to suck, but do it, I guess. So yeah, that's a hard thing to fix.
Yeah, I kind of talk about what I refer to as the offensive mindset, and that offensive mindset for me is this razor thin edge between passive and aggressive. And you know, it's this place where you're allowing the fight to develop organically and naturally, and letting the fight happen, also without the fight happening to you. And in order to find where that balance is, you have to experience the extremes of aggression and the extremes of the passive. You know, I'm gonna try to block faster than Al-Anon can throw. See how well that goes for you. But you know, you kind of
do me a favor and do that in range.
But yeah, you do kind of have to experience the extremes of those. And like Ellen was saying, I think Enora just really hit on this really, really well as far as a progression goes. That, you know, aggression can be part of the process. It can be a tool, or you may have to, you know, kind of conjure that image for you to be, as Guillaume had said in one of his comments earlier. I like to think of it more as assertive, not aggressive. But if you don't know what assertive is, and if you don't know where that fine line is, it's going to feel like aggression, and you're going to feel like I have to do more, and I have to have more intensity. Once you've experienced that a little bit, you know, like I said, if that's, as Eleanor was saying, is if that's all you've got, that's not going to last long. But if that's a tool that you need to be able to get to what Enora was saying, to getting that confidence and finding that intent, and then later becoming calculating in that way, it can be a tool, and you know, and it may manifest as aggression, but just yeah, let's. I think we, for the most part, we can just kind of back off telling people you need to be more aggressive.
I mean, I'll do that in the middle of training somebody. I do it both with rapier and I do it both with heavy. When training a newer fighter, especially in rapier, they will attack. They'll do a small lunge and they'll end that far away from my body. The tip of their sword is that far away from my body, and literally in the middle of it, I'll say, "Keep going, keep going," and all they hear is "keep going." So they actually initiate forward, and sometimes they'll hit, and sometimes I'll continue to block, and I'm just telling them, keep coming forward. Don't stop. Don't listen to me. Listen to my voice. Just keep coming forward. And I do the same thing in armored combat, where it's the same thing, where they're it's like they're so used to getting swung at and they're going to die. So you don't even hit them. It goes right over their head and they're like, dead. I didn't hit you. Why did you say I'm dead? Because you swung at me? No, you're not dead. Keep going. And it's like coaxing. It's a gentle kind of coaxing in a way that you're not placating them, but you're like, no, keep going. Push a little bit harder. Push a little bit harder. And, it's trying to continue to make them come forward, and they'll just keep going. And I love those moments where their eyes light up, because all of a sudden it's like, wait, you wanted me to hit you. You wanted me to keep coming. And it's like, yes, that's what you're supposed to do. You continued the fight. Even though you died, you continued the fight. And we'll go 2 or 3 blows before it's like, all right, now we need to take a break and take a breather. It's, I hit you once, keep going. Don't stop and reset. And I think that sometimes messes with people's heads too, where it is you get one-shotted by a Duke and you reset. Instead, have them just keep, they get swung at and they're now going to pause. Swing at them. You kill them. Tell them, don't stop. Keep coming at me. Keep coming at me. Keep coming forward. Don't stop coming forward. It's pushing their comfort zone. It's hard. And you have to read your students. You have to watch their body language and see, is this uncomfortable for them? And if it is, stop before it gets too far. But we're wanting them to be the aggressive part. While at the same time, don't just throw anything you want. I will open up a shot on the side of my head and tell them, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Wham, great. Set up something else. Keep coming, hit my leg. Great. I want them to look at the fight versus just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at me.
I love this. You have multiple times now hit on an extremely important part of this, and that's it's people being comfortable. Actually, I know that this is it is a semi-violent martial art-esque sport, but comfort is really important. It's important because it allows you to learn. When you're comfortable, your brain is in a much more receptive place, and it also allows you to start having fun. I see people who get involved in fighting, and because we've told them over and over how much fun it is, and it's like they're not having fun yet, and they're not having fun yet
at the beginning
because they're not comfortable. Everything about it is weird. You're wearing armor. You can't breathe the same way. You can't see the same way. You've got a weight on you that you didn't have on normally, and people are legitimately trying to hit you, and the theory is you're supposed to be hitting people back. And there are a lot of things that you've got to start getting comfortable with, and all at once isn't normally an option for people. It's you need to be comfortable in your kit. If you're not comfortable in your kit, you're not going to have any fun, and you're not going to be in a good place to learn. If you're not comfortable swinging shots with the thought that you might actually bruise or sting somebody or whatever, if that bothers you more than the understanding that they want to play this game too, they're okay. No one wants to be hit, but we sign up for the risk of it because of, in theory, how much fun this is. And I'm very fortunate myself that I got comfortable really quickly, and I got comfortable getting my ass kicked so I could actually learn from those experiences. Because once you're comfortable and you're having fun, your mind is more receptive to picking up on things and learning things. So at some point, again, I lucked out, or maybe I won a bizarre genetic lottery thing where I'm okay. I realize getting beat is part of the process. That's fine. And getting hit is part of the process. And I hate getting hit. but I love getting to play more than I hate getting hit. So I've learned to just compensate for these things. And every time you mentioned it and it came up in different places, it just was like hitting a big bell for me. So anytime you're working with a student and you're trying to help them get better at anything, I bet you have to find out what's making them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Something is making them if you hit a
I
block,
love that part.
if you hit a block, something, and we may have to push ourselves as coaches to try to figure out what that is. And we may have to ask around and ask, because again, if we don't have the personal experience, like, well, that doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's never made me uncomfortable. Yeah, we're probably not going to figure it out. We're not going to be of any help to our students. So, but I think it's perfect. I'm so glad you mentioned it.
So
Over and over.
one of the things in the comments, both Guillaume and Bronis were talking about using foam in practice as a matter of being comfortable being hit. And I know I had Fox come after me with foam, and if he had hit me with Rattan with what he hit me with foam, my last training with him, I would have been flat out on the floor. But it was a way for me to train against a specific style of opponent, and so and not worry about the comfort level. It was worried about, okay, now how can I actually act with intent, because I'm not worried about the bruises that are going to be
I don't know. I do foam weapons, or I do foam weapons with Duke Connor, and that's all foam weapons because of the shield. So, I think I get more beat up doing the foam weapons practice than I think doing armored practice, and it's so frustrating. But I love it at the same time because you're right. It builds that confidence. Going back to the predator analogy earlier, that's a big part of it too, is watching that transitional mindset change. Because again, as humans, we don't want to get hurt. Majority of us don't like that idea of it. So you have to break them of that fear. You have to almost teach them that you were once the prey, you are now becoming the predator, and a prey animal is totally liable to hurt a predator. That's why they usually go for the weakest thing. You might be the smallest fish in that pond, but you're going to choke the predator when it eats you. So that's the other mindset, is you are just as lethal as the Duke. I have seen so many new fighters one-shot a Duke because they let their guard down and build up that confidence on them, where it's like, you have every ability to do this, just like I did, just like everybody else did. We just have to move you up that pathway. And like you said, finding out what that click is to make them go, well, shoot, I'm just as scary as a predator. I can be that way. And all of a sudden you'll see them too. If you watch them at the beginning of when they first started fighting to a couple of years later, there is a change in their demeanor. They are usually more outspoken. They are more settled into the game. It's such a cool thing to actually see them grow as an individual, because now it's suddenly like, I have strength I never knew was there because I play this game. And that's something I always try and instill when working with new fighters, is you are going to be the scariest creature in the room at the end of this.
Yeah.
So
that kind of goes back to something that Ellen said that I kind of want to touch on, where he's talking about, you have to respect your opponent,
yes,
and what they do, but like you can't be afraid of them, right? And one of the things I tell people about that is that the moment you become concerned about what your opponent is going to do to you, you're done. The fight's just over. Now you have to be aware of what's going on in the fight. You can't just march in and say, I'm just going to go in here and just throw some stuff. You have to be aware of what's going on, but it's that concern. And when you become concerned about, oh, well, it's Elenon or it's Sean or it's Bronos, and and this is beyond the losing a fight before you go out there and fight it thing. That happens in tournament all the time. Oh, I got Elenon. It's like, I don't have a chance. Like, okay, if you say so, right? So this is beyond just that. But it's if you fight me like I'm the great and mighty Duke Sean, then you are concerned about what I'm going to do to you, right? But if you come out and fight me like I'm a dude with a stick, you got a stick, I got a stick, right? I mean, if you just fight me like I'm a dude with a stick, like, then
Better
then you-
yet, Sean, I want them to go out there and go, that is the great and almighty Duke Sean, and he's going to know my name at the end of this. He may
Yes.
beat me, but he's going to know who I am.
right.
Go
Yeah.
out there with confidence and have fun.
I'm gonna
with
make him sit down after this and dry heave for a couple of minutes because I outdid him with gusto. I made him work for it. He
Yeah.
might not, I might not have laid a single shot on him, but I exhausted him, and by the end of the day, he's gonna be like, "What a hard ass fight!"
Yeah.
That's I'm just watching them do that. I love it.
And the point that Alan and I made earlier too about this too is like even if you lose all those fights, at least you're part of the equation. At least you're part of the fight,
You're
and
in the fight. You are part of the. I mean, it's
you're not just a victim.
Yes,
I mean,
don't be a victim. There's no reason to be a victim.
a great fight is a unbelievably interesting, cool, fun, magical conversation. Do you want to be a part of the conversation, or do you just want to be something we talked about? It's like,
Spectator.
but
Yeah.
get out there and get it. Even if we're like, man, I have no idea what you did, and it was, I guess it didn't work, but it really definitely freaked me out. That's
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
This
So-
this whole comfort and confidence thing. I circle back all the time to this because you need those things for this to be fun, and
Oh,
this
we've
should be
lost it.
fun. This
Yes,
should
we've
be
lost that
fun.
part of it. We've lost the laughter. We've lost the giggling. I know at the end of a practice that I'm more exhausted because I was so busy giggling the entire time. I usually am not exhausted from fighting. I'm so busy. I'm so out of breath because I couldn't stop laughing. And oftentimes, especially with newer fighters, that's huge, especially with those who have any kind of misgivings. It doesn't matter. It's a new shield type or a new sword type. They're doing a new thing. They're stepping outside their comfort zone. I want to make it the most fun and memorable thing. And if it's to my detriment and I'm going to get hit a lot, I will happily take that blow to make sure that that person is having a good day, because at the end of it, all of a sudden now they've clicked and they are now a threat. They've built that tiny more bit of confidence where now they're going to go against that person. I've heard them where they're like, I don't like fighting that guy. I'm going to go bite him. Like, go bite him. Like, what's he going to do? He's going to probably remember it. He's going to regret it.
Yeah. One of my former squires, Duke Michael, he'd said that there are basically two kinds of fighters, right? There's predator and prey. And what he said about this is what happens when two lions fight, right? One of them dies, but it's a fight,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, go out there and be a lion. And maybe you're not the biggest lion in the jungle, but you're gonna put up a fight, and it's gonna be
donkeys take out panthers or cougars all the time.
Yeah.
That is an herbivore. That is not an apex predator. But I have seen many a cougar stop right outside of a chain link fence and go, I am not going to go after those turkeys because that's a donkey and my ass is going to get hit. Anybody has the ability to land a shot. You just have to be willing to throw that shot. And I think that could be a big part of where my change was, is that it was suddenly I'm going to throw something and I might not even hit the right thing, but I'm going to hit that shield hard enough that I'm going to make you think, I really don't want to get hit in the body with that, so I'm going to change to all defensive.
Yeah.
That kind of a difference.
And yeah, when I saw it when it first happened, you hadn't thrown a shot. It was just the way you lined up. And there was a belief there that had been missing, because prior to that, it was like, I'm going to go out with Sean and we're going to work on some stuff. But that day you came after me and it was like, I'm going to go out there and fight Sean, and I'm going to chew off a piece.
Yeah, I'm going to bite his ankle, but there's going to be a scar there.
Well, I'm going to chew off a piece and see if I bit off more than I could chew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different. Like I said, it wasn't the shots you threw.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I have a question, which is, so part of this episode title is presenting a threat. So when you walk out on the field, what is it you do to actually say, okay, I am the lion on here, or do you have a mental routine or or something, physical attributes that you say, okay, this is, or when you see that from someone else, is that something you see, or is it just the entire posture? Any of you?
I personally wear all black. I have a long coat or a long black coat hardy. I have a hood that I usually put up when I'm off the field. A lot of people have said, "Oh my God, it looks like Darth Vader's walking across the field," and they're terrified of me until they hear me on the field, and I start giggling when I'm fighting. Even in a tournament, it's a terrible mindset. I am not a good tourney fighter. I love fighting. I like practices. I like breaking down the fights. I am not I have to win kind of person. But on the rapier field, I've been told I'm very intimidating because it is a lower kind of a crouch and it's a slower progression forward. Oftentimes they'll say, play on, and you'll see two fighters just go and they start fighting each other. I like to consider it that I am slowly considering and moving in very slowly, looking at the prey. And that makes them kind of think, am I doing, okay, you're looking at a spot over here. I really don't want you to hit that spot. Is something wrong? And then the fight can become engaged. And so I think that's where mine is. Let's be honest. I am 5'11". I'm kidnappable weight. I'm pretty big. It's hard to look at me and not think of me as, a prey animal. It's just how I've always carried myself. Again, until I talk or move, because then I'm clumsy and loud. Sean can attest to this.
Alan, what are your thoughts on that? I also have thoughts.
I absolutely, when I step out on the field, there's a lot of stuff going on with both how I'm carrying myself, and most of it is purposeful. I wish purposefully. I wish to appear. I hope that I actually am, but I hope to appear that I'm mildly at best concerned with you. I want to, I'm acknowledging, I'm going through all the routines. I want to appear to be way more comfortable and casual than is what's really happening inside my head. Because inside my head, I'm already running through all of the mental checklist things that I do before I fight anyone. And as soon as we start fighting, I very purposefully am approaching C range and stepping back out and stepping in a little further and stepping back out. I do all these things purposefully. And so I think the fact when you guys are talking about predatory versus prey kind of animal behavior, I mean, this absolutely looks like stalking. And I was fortunate enough to also get to fight as Grace Hans a number of times. So I absolutely know what it looks like. But, he would stalk at me and I would stalk away, if you can stalk away. And then I would stalk back the moment I thought I could get a chance to, and it's, I would crouch. I mean, and I'm trying to show lots of things. I'm trying to show you're in a really hard fight. And I want to convey all that before I've thrown a shot. If my reputation precedes me, and especially like we're coming into tournament, difference between tournament and pickup fights, but I want to see where people's heads are in pickup fights. I hope like hell, I'm going to do everything I can that your head's in a terrible place in an actual tourney fight, because tourney's business. Tourney is the absolute expression of what I've trained for. Yes. So I'm going into tourney to be what I've trained. It's the culmination of the years. And it's the culmination of what I've done recently. And I wish to express all that in tourney. And I'm perfectly okay if my reputation defeats you. I'm okay if my posture defeats you. I'm okay if my first hard shot is a one shot and defeats. I'm okay with all of that. That's part of the beast that is tourney. and I'm comfortable with it if that's how it goes down. And then if it doesn't go down that way and you're right back there presenting all those things right back at me, you're like, I'm not concerned with your reputation. I'm not concerned with what you're doing right here, apart from what it means for me right in this fight. If I look back and I see somebody who's thinking just as hard and is working just as hard to beat me, well, then it's like, well, that's cool too. That's all part of it. So, but I hope that I am showing intent and competency at all times, even though I also want to come across as completely relaxed.
Yeah, that's
He's like a strong silent type too, which is pretty terrifying. I could see him being the strong silent type. I believe I've seen him fight down there. And it's like, no, don't want to get by that.
Yeah, one of the things I'd say about that all the time is like, this fight's going to be a lot easier for me if you let me beat you on nothing but reputation.
Oh yeah.
And if you're going to make me fight, I can, and I will if I have to. It's just a lot less work if you can just convince yourself that you're already defeated. It's just easier for me, right?
That's the first shot is a mental thing.
Yeah, but yeah, this I mean, what Alan was talking about, that is the presence and the intent that we're talking about for sure. I think for me, one of the parts of this is there was a point at which I realized that I needed to develop a killing methodology, like the process by which I pursue the opponent and go after them, and right, and instead of hoping that a combo is going to work, or hoping that they're going to fall into that they're just going to give me something. How do I go after the fight, position myself? Like it's killing methodology is a process. And if you think of all the best fighters out there in the world, one of the things we all have in common is they're killers, right? They're going to pursue the fight, and they are going to they're going to make certain things happen. I think in the case of both Al-Anon and Branos, they tend to view themselves a little more as defensively minded. But I think beneath that, there's still a methodology. There is a process. Like I'm gonna put you in a position to get you to make a mistake, and then I'm gonna punish you. I know for me, I remember when I had that revelation that I needed to have a killing methodology. I don't know necessarily what I did to create that, so it's not like I can't really give you drills about how to do that. There's a few things out there that you can do, but there wasn't really a process that I had to create it. But I think just being aware that was a thing I needed to develop kind of led me to that. And again, it's the judicious pursuit. It's not aggressive. It's not running down your opponent and throwing a bunch of shit, but it's the stalking. It's the presence. It's the intent. It's the process, and it's just that I am here, and I'm going to be a problem for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coming, I think there's a couple of things that I see when other cut fighters come onto the field, and I see, well, when I know, for instance, Rongvalder has his initial salute, and he always has a state pattern. I'm like, when I see that pattern, I know he's serious. It's the same thing. It's okay, but it's also when then you start with whatever, when someone starts approaching with footwork, which is intentional, that they're trying to get me to do something, or I mentally am trying to get someone else to do something, then I'll know that there's actually intent there. And that's one of the things. If someone just comes straight at me, there's a different kind of, there's aggression, but not necessarily, they know what they're doing.
It's
but
not purposeful.
If someone is trying to maneuver me to some place, that's very much a key that, they're showing intent. They're showing they're trying to get me someplace. And I know that as a fighter, sometimes I'm going out there, I'm like, I'm trying to maneuver this person. I'm not sure why yet. And that's where that intent of actually having a plan, flexible plan that you can be able to change, but a plan nonetheless of, I want to defeat this person, and I'm going to try this particular thing, or I'm going to try this particular maneuvering. that's part of the intent, showing that intent and that threat. And I know, so to me, when I see that and that someone's trying to do that to me, I recognize that, but I also try to push that out as, okay, I'm trying to make you do something, even if I'm trying to put you into the ropes just so that you're not comfortable.
Mhm. Plans are not made in permanent marker; they're made in chalk, and you have to be able to clean that slate the second that it's changed.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because Alan and I mentioned, having a plan earlier, but still having the flexibility to adjust to it. And, first off, we can always go back to what Mike Tyson said about that. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But also,
suddenly that Pell moves, and I'm going back into lizard brain of, oh shit.
I think one of the differences between a good fighter and a great fighter is a good fighter will be able to recover from the failure of his plan. You get a plan, you're going to go in there, you execute that. Oh, that didn't go like I'd hoped to, and I'm going to back out. I can recover from that. And I think the great fighters are going to capitalize on the nature of the failure, and they are going to turn that failure into opportunity, and they're going to take advantage. They're going to make something of the way in which it failed. Because everybody's got a plan, and say, I want this to happen. It's like, oh shit, that did not work, and we can come right off of that and turn that into something else instead of just being able to recover and survive from when things go bad. And that's that adaptability. Like, you can't be so tied to it that, if this doesn't work, then that's all I've got. You've got to be able to, it's like, oh, that didn't work, but look, it gave me this. That's pretty key part of having a plan.
I think a big part of that is, like you said, is being able to reset. You go forward into the fight again, if you want to, with intent, realizing, oh, none of that worked out to play, and you have to now get out of range in a way and reset the fight. You literally have to make the space. And I think a lot of fighters some have lost that, some capitalize on it, where they don't ever allow that person to regain that space. And they think they're actually, controlling the fight by following that person around the field. Not necessarily always true, because actually that person, at one point, they're just going to keep backing up, step offline, and you're going to go right past them. It's like an Aikido throw or something. Like, that's controlling the fight in my mind. Is you might think I'm letting you think you're in control. Actually, I've been playing you this entire time to put you in a place where I want to be.
Yeah, I do that all the time, Sir Honor. I make people follow me. They think they're aggressively, hounding me down, but the entire time they're at my far C range and they're not in range yet. So it's like, this is perfect. Thank you. I absolutely want this, because one, you're weirdly confident. You're staying in my range and you're not in your range yet. It's like, great. This is a absolute win. Keep doing
forward
it.
engagement means an object in motion stays in motion, and there you go.
See, that's some classic Ali rope-a-dope stuff right there.
I've only ever done that in water polo. I have yet to do that in heavy. I'm not fast enough yet.
Hey, so if I can circle back to something that Sean was talking about just a little bit ago about this killing methodology, and you weren't really sure when you got it, so if I understand it correctly, the way I would see that is at some point in your progression as a fighter, and everyone's progression of a fighter, you're going to start having some things that you do you understand that you're good at it, or competent or better at certain things. And then when you can force the fight to go the way you need it to, so that the things that you're good at happens, well, you start having a methodology at that point. Now, the difference between even a knightly prowess fighter is they're good. They stop there. But a better fighter will continue to add more and more things that they're good at, and then add in the ability to adapt, pull out what I need, change on the fly, you got your own recognition. It's like, I recognize that they're going to do this. And, it's all these different things, but they're all going to happen as you are comfortable and confident to do them. You know, you add more things to the whole methodology as you get good at them and you become confident and comfortable doing them. And so this, I think, gives people an opportunity to have a takeaway from this. It's like, if you haven't done so, write down, what do I do well? You know, what do I do well? Now, granted, there's a whole other aspect of training where you can focus on, well, what am I not doing well? And you definitely should be thinking about that. But for the purposes of having confidence and feeling comfortable as you proceed to have more intent in your fight, let's understand what you do well now. So write it down, literally write it down, look at it, make sure that you agree with that. If you talk to your friends about it, what else am I missing something? You know, because sometimes the people that you fight will help you with that. Maybe you don't even have the confidence yet to understand that you do something else well. So talk to your peeps, talk to the people who are training you, talk to the people that you train with, and understand what you do well, look at it, work on it, and understand. So this is your current bag. Feel good about doing these things. Get into the fight and try to make it happen. Even if it's a person who's, you know, in your mind way better than you. It's like, well, try to do the things that you do well. Try to make this fight happen like that. And you'll learn from it. You'll have some success with it. It will sometimes fail, but you have an actual plan. You have intent about actually fighting with intent. So, you know, I think there is takeaways that we can do here. And I think this works at every level of where you are as a fighter, whether you're, you know, in your first couple of years, whether you are, you know, a high-end unbelt or a new knight, or, you know, as Sean said, you're in your 40th year now, and, you know, you feel like you've achieved a lot, but you know what? We still need to do the self-reflection sometimes.
Absolutely.
So that we know that we're doing what we're doing well. And then on the other side of this, in another episode, we can talk about how to start getting better at the things you don't do well. Because you want to get better, and you want to have confidence doing those things too. But you should really think about what you do well now, and actually dwell on that a little bit. Revel in it. Things that I do well. Yay.
Oh yeah. Even if it's something as small as you put on armor and you came to practice. That's a big hiccup for a lot of people, where that's the only one you can get, like you said yourself, your Grace, where it's like it's a victory condition. Capitalize on that. You put on your armor, you came out here. Telling friends that you do this one particular shot that always jukes me. It's a compliment. Compliments are a confidence builder. And some people, myself included, are going to be like, that's not true. Until later, I throw that same shot that kills them and go, oh my God, they're right. I actually do that shot really well. And that's a click. That's something pulling out of my bag. I might actually not be shit at this. I will go get my ass kicked the next weekend, but I will remember that moment of I've had that click before and I want that click again.
Yeah.
That it goes from wanting to be, if I want to win the fight, to I want to become a better fighter.
Yeah, I want to kind of get in the habit of celebrating all the wins, small wins, big wins. Yeah. Life has the potential to suck, and what we need to do is be cheerleaders for each other and let us celebrate small wins for people and big wins. Let's just be there. Let's be the best cheerleaders we can be, and help everybody feel a little bit better about the world.
It makes them want to come back, and even if there was a bad practice, they want to come back that next time. Because they loved that rush of endorphins of I was accepted, I was celebrated, even if it was something silly like, you know, hey, you fell on your ass, but you got back up. Small little favors.
Yeah. I want to kind of piggyback on something that Eleanor was talking about. You know, where we're talking about the killing methodology and your process and what you're good at. I think it's also important to understand that your fight is yours, and you know, even if your fight is in development, you have to go out there and execute what your fight is, and let it be enough. And you know, I think I've always said that, you know, one of the best tests of our actual skill is unknown skill versus unknown skill. You go out there and fight somebody you've never seen before, and whatever your fight is has to be good enough right out of the gate. You can't Rolodex somebody. You can't, oh, I've seen this guy. I know I've heard about this guy. He likes to do this thing. He always does this sort of thing, right? I think there's some dangers in that anyway, just from a combat perspective or a competitive perspective, but your fight has to be good enough. And a little example of this that happened just recently. I was up at Eggles's tourney up in Ontario a couple of weeks ago. I got to fight a good friend of mine who Al-Anon's familiar with, my good friend Duke Aaron, who had recently moved up there. And I've been fighting Aaron for a long time, but it's probably been at least a decade since we fought. And so we made a point to get some time, and went out there, and I'm putting out the fight that I have, right? And when we got done, I, asked him if he's looking for feedback, and he said sure. And I was like, "You're hesitant." And as as Al-Anon knows, when Frank is on, he's not hesitant. Like that guy, he's got his fight, right? He knows what his fight is. He has his killing methodology, right? But I was fighting him, and I was like, "Yeah, you're just really hesitant." And he's like, "It's been a long time since we fought. I didn't know what you're going to do, yada yada yada, all this stuff." And I'm like, your fight is good enough. Your fight is world class, and you just have to execute your fight and be confident in that. And again, even if your fight to that extent, even if your fight is still in progress and still developing, right? You have to execute your fight. And I mean, because if you're hesitant because I don't know what he's going to do, again, that gets us back to that thing where once you become concerned about what I'm going to do, then you're just done. So when you get out there, and I think this is particularly true in pickups, because anytime I'm doing pickups, I'm doing evaluation, because we're going to talk about it after, right? Somebody's getting evaluated. Maybe it's going to be you, maybe it's going to be me, because if you put a good ass whipping on me, I'm going to be like, hey, a little help here, right? But there's always the evaluation happening. And in order for us as trainers to send you on the right path to fix your fight, make your fight better, we have to see who you really are as a fighter, not who you want us to think you are. Or, and if you're coming in hesitant and you're worried about what I'm going to do, like, that's not what I need to see. What your fight is, you don't necessarily need to see what my fight is.
Yeah.
Right on. We got about 10 minutes left here. Sivert, did you have any?
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I like John's comment of the only real opponent is our current self. That is so hardcore the truth. It's horrific.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to what I was just talking about. Is like, you have to execute your fight, and I mean, because ultimately, as Alan was saying earlier, like, this whole thing is us developing who we are as a fighter, and developing our fight, and then going into a tournament or going into a high profile, like, Heroic Champions or something like that, where we have an opportunity to execute that skill set. And yeah, it is, spending a lifetime, creating this version of who we are as a fighter, and then being able to execute that. And, like he was saying, like, just that constantly, again, I've been at this 40 plus years, me, Al-Anon, 30, 35, 40 years, Bronx, like some 40 years. And I'm still trying to get better.
Yeah.
I was at fighter practice just last night. Yep. I'm at fighter practice just last night working on stuff, and you never know who is going to give you that opportunity to work on those things. That it's important to be open to the.
I hear you, Sean. I hope that I learned something else new, but right now I'm also just trying to learn how to be a 60-year-old fighter. I mean, it's the struggle is real. Father time is undefeated. I
Yep.
am not ready to go gentle into the night, but I have to learn how to do some things different. I have
Yes,
to,
how your body changes as it morphs.
yeah, I mean, I have to pick and choose when I go to an event, I have to pick and choose what I want to do. I mean, I used to drink all night and fight all day and think, and laugh at anyone who didn't do that. And now it's like, well, if I'm going to go reveling tonight, I won't do anything tomorrow, and that sucks. So you know what? I'm actually going to go to bed early.
Going to bed, yeah.
Yep.
Just so I can go play the next day. It's not for the faint of heart, but I mean, if I approach it, I need to do is I need to approach it with joy, and learn and go out there and figure out how to be a 60-year-old fighter. It's not, or 60 plus, because I'm not going to get any younger.
And more things, no offense, are going to break. I'm still suffering from a dislocated knee from last year, and it's completely changed up my fighting, and it is the most frustrating thing. And I am not fighting my opponents anymore. I am absolutely fighting myself. And that's a huge confidence shock.
Yeah. You have an expectation that your body is going to feel a certain way when you go out there. And when it doesn't, it's like, well, it's a physical thing. He can't do that. Well, it becomes a mental thing like that. I mean, if I'm thinking about how my body feels, I am not allowing myself to get into where, I'm not going to be, for sure, I'm not going to get into a flow state. I have to have a relaxed, I need to know what my body's going to do, and I need to feel good about letting things happen. And if I'm like, well, but I can't step that way, and I can't do this, and it's like I can't lunge off my back leg. If you're getting those situations, if you get in those situations, it's different. So I'm literally just not getting into flow states like I used to. I'm instead having to find new ways to enjoy fighting.
So, Al-Anon, it sounds like you're answering the question we have here. Somebody asked if we could have this as our next episode, and you were already starting down that path.
So I would love to be a part of it, because I certainly want to take away. I want to take away more than I'm able to offer to that conversation, to be able to put it into place. Because when it comes to being an older fighter, I'm a student. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And somehow you're still a subject matter expert.
Yep.
All right, so we got a few minutes here. So, Al-Anon, let's have you get some final thoughts on intent and presenting threat.
So yeah, I guess just sort of and from my perspective, it's the culmination of being confident and comfortable in your skill set. That doesn't mean you're not still working on things, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a long road to go, because we always do. We've always got a long road to go. But at some point, you need to let yourself have an actual on the field expression of your confidence in your abilities. And this will be the intent that we're talking about. We'll see it if you're not doing it yet and you can get to this place, we'll absolutely see it. We'll comment on it. We'll celebrate your small win, because we should celebrate all these wins. This is something you can work on, and go back to what I said a little bit earlier ago, where I was like, let's jot down what you're good at. I'm begging you guys, everyone, please take an opportunity to step away from this, write down what you're good at, and celebrate those things, and realize that you've got a bag. If you've only got one trick, you've got a bag, and I want to see you start pulling things out of your bag, and doing so with confidence and joy.
Confidence and joy.
Sievert, you got some thoughts? Some wrap up?
Yeah, sure. Because one of the things that Al-Anon said, and he also said in your golf course class, was you kind of your best, or where you are now is good enough, and it has to be good enough, because that's what you have to bring. and that's what you have to bring to the table. And so I think part of that intent in presenting a threat comes back to you have to actually bring the things to the table. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna be defeated before I come out." You have to bring your skills to the table. You have to present them, and you have to come in with some sort of reason. So I'm going to do this, or I'm going to win, or I'm going to threaten somehow, as opposed to just I'm going to come out and just throw things on the table and not know, just throw my whole bag out there and just hope something happens. But it's really that you have you can't not have your bet. You can't, I guess it's the balance between throwing everything out from your bag out on the table and saying, well, yeah, something will stick, and not throwing any of it out there because you're not confident that any of it works. And so that's that balance of, okay, I need to evaluate and choose my tool and have the best tool I can apply, and not let someone else dictate what tools I apply.
And Nora, thank you for joining us for sure. Let's have some final wrap-up thoughts from you.
This was an absolute honor. I loved it. Mainly the main thing for me is everyone has the ability to be a threat. A pencil can be a threat. A grape can take down even the biggest creature by choking them. You just have to figure out where you're a threat and where you want to be a threat, and how you can intimidate anybody by just a look. You just have to learn what your look is. And you have to do some digging. You have to figure out, do you want to be a threat or do you want to be a victim? And I hope everybody gets to have that opportunity where they get to feel like they are a risk and they are scary, because it is an incredibly empowering feeling, and it will change your life outside the SCA as well.
Right on. Thank you. All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. This has been a really great conversation. As always, lots of great questions and comments in the comment section. We always really appreciate that. You guys make the show out there. You guys will make it worth doing. So it's been really great. Eleanor, thanks for jumping in on this one. Sigrid, thanks for producing. And my dear friend, Nora, thank you so much. Like I said, when this came up, you were absolutely the first person that I thought of that I wanted to talk to you, talk about
flattered.
This. So it's been a delight. It's been great.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great
See you
night.
next month.
So yeah, everybody have a good night, and thanks for joining us.
I don't.